we're going to talk about something you might not think of as a geopolitical weapon: food. We're digging into the grains of power and how this basic necessity is completely changing the strategic game between India and the Middle East.
For as long as most of us can remember, this was the golden rule, right? Power in the Middle East, and really for any country dealing with the region, was all about oil. It was the stuff that fueled the world's economies, and it set the terms for, pretty much every deal and every alliance.
And, for a huge, fast-growing country like India, this created what always looked like a one-way street. India desperately needed fuel to keep its economic engine roaring, and the Middle East had it in spades. It was a simple, straightforward story: a very thirsty buyer and a totally essential seller.
But what if that's not the whole picture? What if there's another, just as powerful dependency, but it's flowing in the exact opposite direction? A dependency that's not about what you pull from under the ground, but what you grow on top of it.
All right, so let's start with the part of the story we all know pretty well: the energy side. To really get why this new dynamic is such a big deal, we have to understand the sheer scale of the old one.
And I mean, just look at these numbers. They're kind of staggering. India's reliance on oil and gas from the Middle East isn't just a minor thing, it is systemic. We're talking about the energy that literally keeps the lights on, keeps factories running, and keeps the whole economy moving forward. This dependency is very, very real, and for a long time it was seen as India's biggest weak spot in the region.
Okay, so now let's flip that coin over. Because while India is looking east for its fuel, the Middle East is increasingly looking right back at India for something just as fundamental: food.
And look, this isn't some kind of policy failure, it's just a fact of geography. For a lot of the Gulf nations, trying to grow enough food to feed everyone is a huge challenge. They've got the money, sure, but what they don't have is the water or the right kind of land. And that creates this built-in structural need for a steady, reliable source of food from somewhere else.
And this chart right here, this shows you the new reality perfectly. Just take the UAE, a massive economic hub. Back in 2021, its #1 source for food imports wasn't a traditional powerhouse like the US or Brazil. Nope, it was India. This one chart tells the whole story. India is becoming an anchor for the region's food security.
And we're not just talking about one country here. The scale of India's agricultural output is just immense. I mean, think about this: 40%. India accounts for 40% of all the rice that's traded on the entire planet. When you have that kind of control over a global staple, you're not just another seller. You become a critical piece of the global food supply chain, and every decision you make sends ripples across the world.
So what we have are these two massive dependencies, right? And they're flowing in opposite directions. But here's where it gets really fascinating. They're not separate streams. They're actually locked together in this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle.
And this is the core idea we need to understand. It's called complex interdependence. It means this isn't just a simple tit-for-tat trade. It's a deep, tangled web of mutual reliance. If you try to pull on one thread, say you weaponize energy, you risk unraveling your own food supply. And it works the other way too. It almost forces a kind of pragmatic, we're-in-this-together cooperation.
And check this out. This is how it works. It's this beautiful circular logic. Step 1. The Middle East sends not just fuel, but also fertilizers, which are absolutely critical for modern farming, over to India. Step 2. India uses that energy and those fertilizers to grow a ton of food. And then step 3, India exports that food surplus right back to the very same region it came from. It's this perfect loop of food, fuel, and fertilizer.
Now, this powerful dynamic isn't just happening by accident anymore. The leaders in the region have seen what's happening, they get how important it is, and now they're actively building on it. They're turning what was an economic fact of life into a formal, strategic project.
And you can just see the momentum building here on this timeline. I mean, it all starts with a huge diplomatic visit in 2015, and then boom, it just accelerates. You get strategic partnerships, a $7 billion investment platform, and by 2022, this whole food corridor idea is being formalized at the absolute highest levels. It just goes to show how quickly this became a top geopolitical priority.
But this isn't just a two-way street. It's actually more of a three-way partnership, with each partner bringing something unique to the table. You've got India as the agricultural engine. The UAE brings the cash and its incredible world-class logistics. And then you have Israel, which provides cutting-edge agricultural technology, especially for managing water, which, as you can imagine, is a critical piece of this puzzle. And it's really important to see that this food corridor isn't happening in a vacuum. It's actually a cornerstone of much bigger plans. It's a key part of the I2U2 group, and it's also a vital piece of that huge, ambitious IMEC plan to connect India all the way to Europe, right through the Middle East. We're literally watching them redraw the trade maps of the world.
So, all of this brings us to the high-stakes question, doesn't it? We've got this deeply connected win-win relationship, but does all this interdependence automatically lead to stability? Or does it just create a new and maybe even more powerful kind of weapon?
And this is the central debate. You've got one camp, the optimists, who say this forces everyone to play nice. You just can't afford to anger the people who supply your food or your energy. But then you have the other camp, the pessimists, who point to history like the 1970s oil crisis, and they say, look, any dependency, sooner or later, can and will be used as a weapon.
And let's be clear, this is not just some academic debate. This is real. In 2022, India banned some of its rice exports, not as some grand geopolitical move, but simply to control food prices at home. But you know what? The reason doesn't really matter to a country that depends on those imports. It was a stark reminder that domestic politics can shut off the tap overnight, and it shows the very real vulnerability that comes with this kind of dependency.
And yet, the counter-argument is that this relationship is just different. The thinking goes that this is a whole new model. It's not built on the old zero-sum game of dominance, where for me to win, you have to lose. Instead, it's built on a positive-sum game of mutual need. It's like a whole new language for how countries deal with each other.
So, that leaves us with the ultimate question. Is this whole food, fuel, fertilizer loop the blueprint for a more stable, cooperative world? Or have we just witnessed the birth of a powerful new weapon where the world's dinner tables could become the next front line? The answer to that question is going to shape the future of power, not just in Asia, but everywhere. Today,